もう22年 ?22 years。
22年、すごいね。
長いです。
長いね。
Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome to today's video. My name is Pim, and on this channel we travel all across Japan to find retro video games. We go on game hunts, we live stream every Sunday, and today's episode is very special. We're saying goodbye to one of the oldest remaining retro video game stores in Akihabara. We all know Akihabara as the mecca of anime, pop culture, and retro gaming. And while Super Potato is kind of famous for being the retro gaming experience in Akihabara, this next store, Friends, has also kind of always been there, but it's always dabbled in notoriety amongst collectors, and I've never seen it features as much as the other retro gaming stores. Maybe it's because it's kind of on the outskirts of Akihabara, but nevertheless, it is definitely a legendary store that has been there for seemingly forever. Friends is the definition of a mom and pop store. It's run by an elderly couple, and they've been doing it for so long that a lot of the retro stuff like the PlayStation 1, they probably got them direct from publishers. I first heard about this store about 4 or 5 years ago from a friend, and it's always kind of been that one stop you go to in Akihabara. I gotta admit, I haven't been there in a very long time because ever since the borders opened, Akihabara has been so crowded, so packed with people that it's really kind of not my space anymore. I'm more of a countryside thrift store, middle of nowhere kind of guy, if that makes sense. Twitter user Shinyaman2 has actually found a television segment from what I would guess is about 2003. They talk about some Famicom games. It's really cool. We talked to the owner a little bit where she explained that the store has been open for over 22 years. So stick around to the end of the episode where she explains why this place is closing. But for now, let's go on one final game hunt. And let's dive right into it with World Heroes 2 for the Neo Geo. This is right next to the entrance, so we're going to be going through the store in the way that you would walk through it. Some more Neo Geo games over here. And that was originally the charm of this store. They kind of had everything, even Neo Geo CD games over here. Here's Hercules for the Game Boy, the original Game Boy, something you really don't find in thrift stores usually, like the World Heroes Perfect moveset. These are overlays that you put on the controllers or up on an arcade machine. Then over at the Game Boy section, Rockman World 4, some more Game Boy Goodmans, Rockman World 3 over here as well, 20,000 yen, that's a spicy price. Good old Wizardry over here. Again, games that are usually behind glass at your local hard off, like Street Fighter 03, Street Fighter Alpha as we know it, Rockman 02, some good Game Boy Advance games over here. Then we know what these are. These are the Famicom ports for the GBA. Really fun, really cool little colorful series. Here is Zelda for the disk system. Well, it's actually a GBA cartridge. And Detective Club over here. That was a new game, a brand new game, just randomly on the shelf here. Good old Star Soldier. Yeah, the list goes on. I'm really impressed with this store. It's we have some good fond memories coming here. And to believe that the stock has actually been a lot more than what you see here today. Here's some PC Engine manuals. Another stack of things that is uncommon in hard off. And looking at some more of these GBA games, I try to pick some uncommon ones like Domokun over here. That's a game I don't think I've ever seen at a hard off before. And that's what I like about collecting Japanese games. They don't have to be expensive just because they're uncommon or rare. Like this shady game for the PCFX. Yeah, these are always a bit of a wild card when you find them.
Next! Do it!
フルアニメーションゲームマシン PCFX.
The game is FX.
NEC.
And for the Megadrive, here's Game Ground. I used to have this game way back in the day, and honestly, I used to have it for this price. 5K is not bad. Here's Insector X, a really cool shoot 'em up, very unique for 14K. Another rare game, Gods, the Bitmap Brothers. Again, super uncommon stuff like NFL John Madden 94, just out here on the shelf. Another really fun shoot 'em up, XDR. Again, used to have this one back in the day. Aladdin, still looking for this one, not for 8,000, but yeah, better than the Super Nintendo version. And let's get down over here because I spy a Raiden Trad for the Megadrive. Really fun. Another shoot 'em up classic. And here's the uncommon Rent-A-Hero, a beat 'em up. That's the kind of games you would come here for. Same as Star Wars for the 32X, the arcade game. We was not expecting to find a 32X game. Same as this, a brand new in-box Sega Saturn Joypad DX. I never run into those. Nor do I run into these. Some uncommon junk finds in this store. Yes, they do have junk stuff. I have no idea what these are. Here's something I've never seen before. A game calculator? It's by Casio and it seems to have some type of game functions. I don't know. It's new, brand new. 2750 is not bad. And I was really excited to show you guys this. These are all LCD games, but non-Nintendo branded. So here's Monster Panic over here. And they're not that uncommon, but in the box they are. Like, this is pretty rare to find this stuff in this condition. I don't know too much about these, and I'm not a big collector of LCD games, but this is the kind of stuff that Akihabara is known for. Not just retro games, but these old LCD games and stuff from way before the Famicom era. Like I said, if you would find these in any regular hard-off, they would be in a glass case, and they would have a pretty hefty price tag. And it's just one of those things that you can see that the store doesn't go too crazy with their prices. Sure, it's a bit on the high side, but that's also the location that we're in. Another brand new in-box Sega Duke controller, the big one, and a Hori Commander, also new in the box. It looks like it's for the Super Famicom, but it's actually for the PC Engine. Let's look at some MSX games. Here is Gradius 2, the original MSX. It's such a mystery to me. I've never owned this console. I didn't know about it until 5 or 6 years ago, and I don't think I'll ever own one, but these games are really cool. A lot of the games like Metal Gear, Snatcher, they debuted it on this console. Like, this is where a lot of studios in Japan started programming for it because it was easier, licensing, for whatever reason. Before they ever even thought of making a Famicom game, a Super Famicom game, they just started making games for this system. I think it's a very important and really fun look at Japanese game development history, like Snatcher, as we mentioned before. This game started on the MSX. It's a cyberpunk adventure. It's kind of like a visual novel, which was very common for these type of old computers. But there were also shoot 'em up ports, like Laydock 2 over here, another classic. This, together with the FM Towns and the PC98, PC88, for me defined old Japanese computing. And I would just love to one day have some of these machines to play around with and explore what they came up with. But hey, emulators exist and these games are all readily available. I think most of them are even on archive.org. But yeah, super happy to be showing you guys this stuff that I really like finding. This is why I go game hunting. I like to find stuff that I don't know anything about, and then I learn about them. And these GameCube games were all sealed. This whole row was full of just new sealed games. This is Biohazard Zero. This actually isn't too uncommon. There's a place near my house that has a bunch of dead stock Wii and GameCube games. It's a toy store, but yeah, this happens a lot. These games weren't particularly rare or valuable, but we don't care about that on this channel. We just care about finding cool games like Give Pia over here. Now, moving on to the Nintendo section, this is cool. This is by Buffalo. It's a USB SNES controller, way before 8-Bit Do did it. And the ever so elusive Super Game Boy controller, new in the box for 7,000 yen. Alright, over to N64. This is Violence Killer. It's actually Turok 2. I don't know why Japan gave it such a crazy name. A beautifully pristine copy of Dobutsu no Mori Animal Crossing. And good old Doom 64, 9,000 yen. It's a bit much for that one. But again, these are games that would be behind a glass case. Like Gauntlet Legends over here, I don't think I've ever found that in a hard-off ever. And if I did, it would definitely not be on a shelf like this. Like these Castlevania games over here as well. Awesome to be able to show you guys what it was like to shop at this place one more time. It wasn't like I was coming here every weekend or anything. In fact, I haven't been to Akihabara in a very long time. Especially since the borders open, it's just way too many people for my liking, and we like to go game hunting in the countryside. But stores like these are definitely what define that experience. It's definitely a luxury.
藤原先生いただき
こんな楽しいゲームができるのは 64DD ランドネットだけ新作ソフトも続々 64DD ランドネットただいま会員募集中
Over to the Super Famicom section. Darius Twin over here and Super Ghouls and Ghosts next to it. And you can see how a store like this would differ from your regular thrift store or hard off. Here is cotton 100%. But yeah, it's just banger after banger after banger. It's all high quality, definitely more of a curated selection. And it's a local business, you know, it's always good to support places like this. Here's Clock Tower for 28,000 yen. Again, one of those glass case games that you can just pop off of a shelf over here. Some brand new Super Famicom AC adapters just sealed in the box. But yeah, I definitely remember there being a lot more stock into this little store. Like after they announced that they were going to close, I think a lot of people came here to get their final retro game dose from this place. And this table was full of knickknacks, cards, coasters, extra stuff, basically anything game related that's not an actual video game, except for the LCD games, of course. They had it here. It was really cool to see. Not to mention the pristine condition Game & Watches, like Vermin over here. This might actually be the first time I saw some of these in person. I wonder where they get their stock from, since it's a 20-year-old store, right? It's kind of crazy to imagine that some of this stuff actually might have been here for those 20 years. Like this Mario cement factory just might have been something that they had from way back in the day. The beautiful greenhouse Game & Watch, man, I love these things, but I could never get myself to spend as much as these things are worth. Though I did own the ball one that they gave out for the Nintendo store back when that was a thing. But yeah, since these things have always been like hundreds of dollars a pop, they just don't seem like something I would play every day on these little LCD screens. But again, Nintendo history right here, and all in the box too, so well preserved. It surprises me how many of these they made. Like I keep finding new ones as I go game hunting. I keep finding new Game & Watches like Judge that I've never seen before. My friend Dave was interested in this Thunderbirds one, but you know, I'm more of a Dragon Ball guy myself. But yeah, no, good stuff. Love finding these things. And these cards were from the DS era, from Spirit Tracks, The Legend of Zelda. I think they were a Club Nintendo exclusive. And here's something you don't see every day, some Cotton 2 teacups, like Japanese traditional teacups, but this one was in the box and they had the characters from Cotton 2 on it. Seems like this place just kept going and going. Time for some PS1 games. This is Azito 2, and look at how well preserved some of these games are. They all had the spine cards. There were maybe a few exceptions, but yeah, games like Wizardry over here, these are super uncommon, and it was just cool to see everything they had. Like this Final Fantasy IV, it was completely new, exactly how you would find it in the stores back in the day. They probably got this directly from the publishers. Here's Namco Museum, the Volume 2 and Volume 5. These are probably the most collectible PlayStation games with how they line up and spell out Namco. Some other two pretty uncommon games, kind of hard to find. The Namco Anthology 1 and 2, both just here on a shelf, spine card and everything. Really cool. This is kind of like the NES remix, but for PlayStation, and it's Namco games. I completely forgot the store also carries older video game magazines. Here is Gamist. We've mentioned this one quite a lot in the past couple episodes. The legendary magazine featuring time attacks and arcade high scores. Kind of regret not digging through these more looking back. They seem to have a lot of issues. Here's the Sega Saturn section. Let's try to find some stuff that we usually don't find. This is a fat stack of, I don't know how many discs, but this is Uno for the Saturn. Another game I don't usually find, The Crow by Acclaim. This game is, yeah, I never really see this. Here is Time Gal and Ninja Hayate. These are both Dragon's Lair type interactive movie games. This was an interesting find. This is Hyper 3D Tyson Battle Jabokers, and it comes with a Tyson cable. It's like a link cable for the Saturn. Now, these were super unique. These are boxes that carried the games how they ordered them from the manufacturer, and I guess they just kept the game boxes all of these years. It goes to show you that they really understand collectors. I'm not sure if these have always been here because, like I said, it's been a while since I've been to this store. But they had them all from GameCube to 3DS. And it goes to show you this wasn't always like a quote-unquote retro game store. This was also just a retail mom and pop shop where you could buy the newest video games. This was my favorite. This is from the Super Famicom version of The Mask, and unfortunately it was just a box, so I don't really have the space for this kind of stuff. But I was really tempted to get some of these for 2,000 yen. Just such a great piece of Super Famicom Nintendo history. I remember these. These were the Kid Icarus AR cards. A complete set too. I doubt I'll ever run into these again. Here's a neat assortment of video game and anime posters. This was G-Loc Air Battle. Let's head on over to the Dreamcast where we find a Capcom vs SNK 2. Some later releases in the Dreamcast library. Here's Under Defeat. I guess you can consider these aftermarket games since they came out all the way after the Dreamcast initial lifespan, but they're all really cool shoot 'em ups. They're essentially arcade ports, and I guess they've never really been cheap. Here's one of my favorites, Ikaruga. I love the mechanics of this shoot 'em up. It's so unique with the different colors. Since we're doing shoot 'em ups, here's Giga Wing, another really good classic arcade port for the Dreamcast. Here's Taco no Marine, a kind of a puzzle game that reminds me of Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker. And like I said, since this was also just a retail store, they have new Switch games. This is the premium edition of Moon. And of course, since we're doing shoot 'em ups this episode, the Cotton reboot. I really like this version of Cotton. I'm not entirely sure if this is a limited run game or not. This is the PS4 version. I'm actually looking for the Switch one. And there's another Cotton version now that comes with like a little figure. They're really cool additions. Here's the IRAM Collection Volume 1 for the Switch. Another great set of shoot 'em ups. Man, we're finding some good games here.
もうビルの取り壊し。
ああ、なるほど。
なんかネット発売かなんかまだやる。
わかりません。
わかりません。しょうがないですね。
しょうがない本当に。
この店はいつからいますか？
もう22年 ?22 years。
22年。すごいね。
長いです。
長いね。お疲れ様です。ありがとうございます。
Well, there you have it, 22 years. As the owner just said, the building's being torn down and I guess they figured it was just time for retirement. Well deserved, if you ask me. I definitely hope they have a very peaceful and restful retirement. A bit sad that a historic piece of Akihabara is now gone like so many things, but in Tokyo everything is constantly rotating. There's new buildings popping up all the time, old buildings being demolished. It's just a part of the way things go in a big city like this. If you liked the video, hit the like button. If you disliked the video, hit the dislike button. This one was really fun. Sorry for the GoPro footage. That's unfortunately all I had on me at the time. Join the live streams every weekend. And as always, thank you guys so very much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.